DuneLady here. Before I move on to the next section, I would like to go back to a point that I missed, and this was regarding the Harkonnens. We really get some very strong feelings about them, and we see that they are really into disgust and humiliation and some really, really nasty inside traits that drive them that just make them absolutely terrible to the core. So I just felt like that needed to be mentioned. I'm not really sure where we are in the movie because initially I did not really start recording in my own brain. I went into it just kind of wanting to experience it, but I couldn't hold myself back after being so into the books for such a long time before I really started forming some opinions and turning on the record button mentally. So, another thing that we see is there is a noticeable word that is being danced around, and that is jihad. And I understand why this choice was made. That is a word that might even get me banned on this platform or censored, this video taken down, because it has some very serious implications for our society. And so they decided to go with holy war instead. And I do understand why that change was made, and I don't think that it fundamentally changes anything about the story. So I was totally okay seeing that, and that was also a choice that was made early on in the first film. So we do see that noticeable absence. I did note that we see some fundamentalist beliefs happening right off the bat. Stilgar has drank the Kool-Aid. He is all about it was written, as was told we would see these things, not knowing that the oppressors are the ones who wrote those. So just in case, if anybody showed up on this planet and the Bene Gesserit needed to get themselves out of there in a pinch, they could manipulate these people and use them to their advantage. I mean, very simply. And Jessica is seeing that immediately. You see in her eyes, like, we have a way to survive. This is what we're doing. And she tries to manipulate Paul, and he sees right through it. He is the reluctant leader. He does not want to do this. He is not drinking the Kool-Aid. He sees all of these things conspiring around him to make this happen, and he doesn't like it, and he tries with all of his might. You see multiple times through this movie him making the choice to absolutely not make that happen. And the imagery used in the film is has a golden hue to it when he has his prescient visions, and I really love that. It is not outright mentioned, but in the books this is called the golden path, and he sees this as a path to the survival of humanity, but he kind of doesn't care about that because he knows that at its core, it's wrong. It's wrong to manipulate these people. He doesn't want to be a leader. He wants revenge for his family. The Atreides have just gone through a Holocaust, a genocide, an extermination, and he wants to fight. That's all he wants. He does not ask for anything from the Fremen aside from an opportunity. And Stilgar is leading them, and he does say, yeah, let's make that happen. And Chani does have his back. She's like, he's a good fighter. And that's what Fremen are. They are survivors and they are fighters. You see them standing up to the Sardaukar and they take him down. Later in the movie, Gurney is like, you have 200 men? And you just took down the Sardaukar? Do you even realize the power that you have in your hands right now? Again, Paul being reluctant. He doesn't care. He just wants revenge and to fight. That's all. He has the same disgust for the Harkonnens that we have. The Harkonnens want political power. They want to rule. They want manipulation. You see the Baron Vladimir Harkonnen, he wants the throne. He wants to overthrow the emperor. So that's what's on his ultimate mind, and he is a political genius. He is a powerhouse. And you do see that, he has some really horrific traits to him, but those work to his advantage in a political scheme. He is willing to do anything to gain power. So that means some of the most terrible qualities that a human can have, which is outright unaliving people. Cannibalism is in this film. Torture. There are some sexual vibes going on that are pretty gross and off-putting, and you also see the size of Vladimir Harkonnen. He is so large that he can't exist under his own weight. He has these implants that are suspensors that are keeping him upright. I mean, how awful is that? And do you know what his motivation for that is? He gets off on the violation for making people feel disgust for them and making them feel uncomfortable. How weird is that? So we have some really twisted things going on in all of the Harkonnens. And we have the trio of them, Fade, Rautha, the Beast Raban, and Vladimir Harkonnen. Noticeably, their Mentat, Pyre de Vries, is missing. I understand that a lot of things were cut for time. This is a very dense series. Opening up the can of worms that is the Mentat would add a lot of time to the runtime of an already very long film. So I understand the thinking in that, but it was too bad to have that missing, because the Suk School and the Mentats are very cool. They are human computers. If you didn't know, there is a Butlerian jihad that takes place which culls all machines that think like the mind of a human. So that is also mostly ignored in the film. Again, there's the word that doesn't like to be used. They are using holy war. However, we do see the technology of Dune, which is largely mechanical in nature. We see we see lots of machinery, but we don't see a lot of computers and digital things. Everything is analog. And this is for a reason. Because it's not allowed. It is completely forbidden by law in all of the Imperium. So, calling back to when Irulan was recording, she does a little bit of exposition. She also does this throughout the novels. She has this little cylinder that's being imprinted. I loved that cylinder so much. It immediately made me think of the first recording devices that existed in our world, which was by Alexander Graham Bell. He recorded on wax cylinders. I loved that detail so much. I don't know how many people know about that and who picked up on that, but that was really cool. And that was my first, click, there is the Butlerian such and such in action. They're not talking about it, but if you pick up on that detail, then you will see that multiple times throughout the film. Tune in for part 2.